Okay, so we are making shepherd's pie. I've just peeled a bunch of gold potatoes. These are important because they're low acid. This one's not peeled yet, but it'll kind of give you an idea. This is the consistency of potato that you want. This is gonna be one of the low acid ones. Now, the other thing that I've done, which I think is important if you wanna cook, is put some Star Trek on TV. So, the first thing I did is put water in a pot and on the pan so that it starts to boil. And then by the time I have the potatoes all peeled, I'm ready to go. The water should be at least simmering, and that's what you want. You don't want it to full on like rolling boil. You just want it to simmer. So the potatoes, my little 98-cent potato peeler, super cheap, super easy. I've peeled all of these and it's taken me maybe, 3 minutes, 4 minutes? So don't get antsy about it. Don't get upset about having to peel potatoes. Now, the nice thing about these Yukon Golds is that the skin is thin enough that you don't necessarily have to have peeled all of the potatoes. You can leave some of the skins on and it'll add some texture. It's a little bit different. So I haven't been doing that because I love you. All right. We take all the potatoes, we chop them into quarters. You can chop them thinner if you want to, you can chop them thicker. This is not that big of a deal. What you want to do is make it so that they try to all come out at the same time, finish at the same time. So you want them fairly evenly sized, but don't sweat it. Close enough is good enough. All right. That's 6 to 8 potatoes. For what I'm making, I'm doubling the recipe. These are fairly good sized potatoes. If you get smaller ones, you can use more. If you get bigger ones, you can use fewer. And I just take potatoes, drop them in the hot water. All right, I set a timer for 20 minutes because those will take about 20 minutes. Once you hear the water start to boil really hard, you're gonna wanna take care of the water and make very sure that it doesn't start boiling super hard. You want it, again, like a nice simmer, like a nice rolling boil. Now, we have leeks, and we have carrots. And the carrots are kind of a pain in the ass. These don't feel very good. So I'm just gonna use baby carrots. And in this case, what I generally do, these carrots need to be shredded. So what I would normally do is take big carrots and I would shred them. On a hand shredder, or you can just buy them pre-shredded, which is probably what I would do if I had it to do over again. But because I didn't do that and I thought I had carrots, and I do, they're just not good carrots. I'm gonna go ahead and shred some carrots real quick using the handy dandy food processor. All right, so in general, what you're gonna do is try and prep the ingredients that are gonna take longer to cook. Now, this is made using ground turkey. And ground turkey only takes a couple of minutes, honestly, to brown up. So the longest time to cook is gonna be your carrots and your leeks. Those are gonna be the things that need the longest to cook. So you want to prep those ingredients first because you want them in the pan before anything else. And I'm gonna take enough carrots to make about, maybe a cup of shredded carrots. And always have some extra on top, and we can feed those to the dog if we want to. Okay. I've got about that much carrots, maybe a cup and a half. So I'm not gonna add those in yet. The first thing I'm gonna do before I add the carrots in is slice up the leeks. Now, this is a leek. You're always gonna wanna cut the bottom, and you're gonna wanna cut the green part off, because this is tough. You see that the knife can barely cut it. But when I get to this white part, it becomes more tender. And that's what you want. So cut the bottom. Even if the bottom's already cut, you're gonna wanna cut it anyway, because it's probably picked up some shit in transit. And then you're gonna take your leeks and cut them into pieces. Now, I've taken the moons. You can see when you pull these apart, they're layered, kind of like an onion, but not really. Now, the thing is, inside of these leeks, dirt gets trapped. So one of the things that you want to always be sure that you do with your leeks is once you've cut them lengthwise in half, you're going to want to rinse them and get that dirt. You don't have to do an amazing job, but you want it to just split those chunks of leek apart a little bit and let some water pass in between just to get any big chunks of dirt out. Okay, that's done. Now, I go ahead and cut the leeks one more time so that I'm basically cutting them in quarters lengthwise. And again, I'm doubling the recipe this time so that you and I can have this for a couple of days to eat. You're probably not gonna wanna make as much as I am. And you see I've got those leeks quartered. Now, once they're quartered, I'll go ahead and chop them into little pieces. Not tiny pieces, but maybe half an inch, quarter inch thick. You don't want anything like, huge. And the nice thing about these leeks is that they will break up by themselves as you're cooking them. So you don't have to do too terribly much. You don't have to worry if you get pieces in here that are too big. It's all gonna break up into smaller little kidlets that are pretty easy to chew. And these don't hurt your eyes or anything like that. It's not like an onion, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And leeks are recommended by your low acid stomach cookbook because they have a very basic nature. So they're acid reducing, literally will reduce the amount of acid in your stomach when you eat them. That's one of the reasons that we love them here at the Gray House. Shit. All right, leeks are chopped. That's what they look like. Now, I already started heating the pan a little bit, so you're probably not gonna have a stainless pan, but that's hot enough. You'll probably have a non-stick skillet. That's what I think would be best for you. I am adding some olive oil, a couple of tablespoons. Now, I'm gonna take all these leeks and chunk them in the pan. Now those are in. I'm gonna go ahead and add the carrots. También. Smells really good. You want to let those sizzle for about 5 minutes. That should be plenty of time for them to start softening up a little bit. You just want them to get a little bit tender because you're still going to add the ground turkey in. Now, I usually try to wait until after the meat's added before I add the salt. And that's going to be the big seasoning in here, in addition to the dill. This is the dill. You can't see it right because I've got the camera backwards. Anyway, imagine this backwards. It says baby dill. Trust me, it says baby dill. Baby dill. You can use any dill, it doesn't matter. Now, the way that we chop this dill is another important ingredient for your stomach acid reduction because it is a basic herb. Not like a basic bitch, but a basic herb. And this is what those little fronds of dill look like. So you want the little frondy parts. You want those, and you want to get rid of the stems. So it's like getting ready to smoke some weed. You want to separate the stems from the good stuff. No seeds, no stems. So I break all of these up. It just occurred to me that I've been chewing this gum this whole time, so that's probably going to drive you crazy. Sorry. I hope you were able to watch this video even though I was chewing gum. But it should feel just like about the time you start to miss me, you can watch this video and watch me chewing gum and be reminded that you may, in fact, be grateful that I am not physically with you at this exact moment. All right, so I've got the dill all separated out. It turns into like a ball of shmush like this. And just on the same cutting board as I did the vegetables, I'm just gonna chop it into little pieces. And you really want this dill, the main thing is you just wanna break it up. You don't need to worry about it being a specific size or cutting it in a particular way. You just want it to be ground up so that it doesn't, you just don't want big chunks of, dill or any herb for that matter in your food. All right, that's the dill. It looks like this. Okay. Now, I'm going to give this a stir. Smells great. Now, you can see the potatoes are boiling. This is too much boil. So turn the heat down. Turn the heat way down. Down more. Down more. Down more. This is about where you want your potatoes. This is what you want the water to look like. A very light, gentle, rolling boil. And that's it. Now, I am gonna go ahead and chunk in the ground turkey. The shitty part about this ground turkey is that it comes with these stupid plastic bits. They're non-edible, so don't let that stay. It doesn't matter if it falls in, but don't let it stay in your meal. Again, I'm doubling the recipe, so you're only gonna add 1 pound. I'm adding 2. Very important, once you've added the ground turkey, you've touched it, wash your hands. Always wash your hands after you touch raw meat, babe, okay? Promise me. All right, so here's the ground turkey and the rest. And I just break it up. You want to mix in the vegetables, mix that turkey in, get it all incorporated pretty well. You would like this to be kind of an even mixture of turkey and vegetables. I can't stand that I can't change I'm too old to use video equipment now. That's kind of what's becoming obvious to me at this point in my life. Fuck it. All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, Celtic salt, naturally. And I just take like a healthy pinch. And the nice thing is with salt, you can add the salt at the very end if you want to in this recipe. You don't have to worry too much about the seasoning. It's pretty easy to add the salt after this meat is already sort of cooked down, so you can have a better idea of how salty or not salty you want it. Okay, and that will cook for probably another 10, maybe 15 minutes, we'll see. 10 or 15 minutes, more or less. Now, while that's cooking, I'm gonna do, one of the components of this is a gravy. And so there's this gravy, this really gorgeous gravy that goes into a good shepherd's pie. And what I do is bouillon cubes. It says to add broth, but broth is a hassle. Bouillon cubes are easy. 1 bouillon cube together with 2 cups of water makes 2 cups of good vegetable broth. That's a lot cheaper than adding like those giant containers of vegetable broth that you buy at the store. So I'll add, again, I'm doubling the recipe. So this is 2 bouillon cubes, and I'm adding 4 cups of water. 1 bouillon cube, you only need 1 cup of water. Or I'm sorry, 2 cups of water. The recipe calls for 1 3/4 cup of vegetable bouillon, or any kind of a bouillon. You can use chicken bouillon. You can use kind of whatever you want to here. And I'll do that for 2 minutes in the microwave and let that water get hot. And we've got about 3 minutes left on the potatoes. Just stirring the meat a little bit so it doesn't brown too much on one side. It's not cooking as fast as I would like it to, so I may turn the heat up a little bit as well. Now, the potatoes are going to require straining, so you'll need a nice handy dandy colander for when they're ready. And I just set that in the sink like so. Now we got another 2 minutes on the potatoes. I'm gonna get a fork. So one of the things that you wanna do to test your mashed potatoes is make sure that you can pierce them easily with a fork. And I cannot. These potatoes are underdone or not done. They're not ready for prime time, babe. Yeah, not done. So, yeah, that's 20 minutes. I'm gonna take a break and let this cook some more. I'm not gonna touch anything until you get back.